Now, Touch Bar can do so many things to help us as we use our MacBook Pro.
The Touch Bar is such a great idea.
The standard system functions we're used to. So if you want to set the brightness or the volume, it's easier than ever before with just a slide or tap.
Yeah, that would make it a little
Well, this seems to give you more function. I mean, you'll be able to customize them to whatever you want them to do. It's not less,
for example,
more.
In this case,
assuming you can,
we're in Safari.
them.
And now the Touch Bar is showing us buttons for our favorite websites. If you want to go to a website, you can just slide along and tap it, and it takes you to that website. Once you're there, it changes again. Now it shows you a search field, a back button, and add another tab in your view. Just the tools you need for where you are. And it goes beyond just being application specific. The Touch Bar can provide new surfaces for tools that we use all the time. So for example, here I am in Photos, and I want to straighten that photo. I have a new interface right there on Touch Bar for straightening the photo. And my hands are right down on the keyboard where I want them in a notebook. It's a perfect experience. And since it's near the keyboard, it's also really helpful
the screen
when
where you expect them to be to get feedback from the computer.
The Touch Bar can show you quick type suggestions. You can just tap on and type even faster. It is incredibly useful and intuitive and really fun to use.
As with any new user interface thing.
Well, next to Touch Bar is another technology, Touch ID. We're bringing Touch ID to the Mac for the very first time.
We saw this in the leaked photos from Apple Pay a few days ago. Kind of that right-hand side Touch ID panel.
Mac with your fingerprint. And it's integrated right where it belongs, in with the power button.
You notice that there's OLED over the Touch ID.
Touch ID sensor, so it's really fast.
Is the actual screen extending that far, or does it end before there?
That's what I'm trying to notice.
The Apple T1 chip. And this chip includes
I haven't noticed up
secure
until now
enclave.
whether that was happening.
So now you can do Apple Pay purchases with your finger right on your MacBook Pro.
I have been screenshotting as we go.
So this is the Touch Bar and Touch ID. And to show it to you working live
it looks like it's
really excited
previous screenshots. It does not. The OLED does not extend left or right all the way to the left or right.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Well, good morning. Thank you, Phil.
Yeah, it looks like it stops right there.
It's a rare privilege to be able to be the first to show you the amazing new MacBook Pro and Touch Bar live.
Now, they still haven't said whether you could specifically customize that bar. I don't see why you couldn't necessarily.
Because if you're writing an app, you can't expect there to be a Touch Bar. So I imagine there's a possibility that I could have a utility, a third-party utility that takes over the Touch Bar, that communicates to the rest of the, oh, by the way, there is no Touch Bar available. So my photo app would then say, okay, I'm not going to put anything in a Touch Bar that this computer cannot provide.
The amazing new Touch Bar. The first thing,
it's an awesome idea so long as it remains like an optional part of the OS, of the UI, meaning that you can't count on someone wanting to use that for a certain button. You can't count on somebody being able to switch their vision. Let's make a point of that. From looking at the screen to looking down at a keyboard to looking up at the screen to looking down at the keyboard. I bet they wouldn't make that mistake.
3270 emulation sessions planned for this afternoon, and good news, they can carry on, because if you hold down the function key, you notice they come right back and available to you right here. It's a huge relief. Now, normally you're going to run with your system controls tucked away in Control Strip. And what's really great is Control Strip still makes it really easy to do everything you want to do with
your friend, that sort of solves the problem with the function keys, but it doesn't allow her to keep her hands hovering over the specific keys themselves
to rest her fingers over it.
I mean, and that's the challenge of having a screen on your keyboard, right? For so long, we're fighting having to look at the keyboard because it's faster for us to just stay focused on the screen and do everything through muscle memory on the keyboard. The juggling back and forth, I don't know. I mean, in some ways, that makes you more
I think it'll be like the first apps with multi-touch, the first apps with the mouse. There's some developers that will have to really spend some time with it to understand what's appropriate, what's not appropriate.
Right.
But a year from now or 2 years from now, everyone will get it. This is a really, really positive thing.
So I can just send this one off with a tap. It's that easy. Now, because Touch Bar is part of the keyboard, it's great for typing. I can reply to this message, and you notice I'm presented with
a good point CR1 has in the chat room. I wonder the accessibility implications of having this touch screen down there. You know, they started the whole event with accessibility, but now you've got a touch a touch panel that doesn't have any sort of tactile like response to it, or even sort of guide for where you put your fingers in order to control things. I wonder how that affects that.
That's why I'm saying I think that the basic concept should be that this is an optional thing. You don't need to have this touchpad in order to make the computer work.
But function keys were always there, weren't they? No. Well, I don't know.
Well, you can just hold down the function key, and you'll get back the standard layout.
But I mean, someone who's blind, let's say, or you know what I mean, needs that extra accessibility layer. That might not help.
It's all about emoji now.
So did they say it didn't have haptic feedback?
And you'll see what happens as
I didn't hear anything about it.
I haven't heard them mention it yet.
Here on the bar, QuickType suggests a replacement emoji that I can add with just a tap. But Touch Bar even provides a great interface for browsing all of my emojis.
I also imagine it'll get a little bit difficult for me to get used to. Hey, there are lights flashing and things appearing on the keyboard, distracting my attention from the screen. Really, my eyes are locked on the screen.
Finish composing.
It doesn't help that Macintosh, they've always made a big deal about, hey, we don't think that people want to have a touch screen like on the screen. It'd be less jarring on a Windows machine where I'm used to having interactivity there. And if they did have a full touchscreen, they could put all this stuff like below the actual screen hardware itself.
Through the day, it's really great. You can do that all right on your Touch Bar. Now, Touch Bar is really fantastic for navigation in your apps. You see, here I've opened a Safari window that has multiple tabs, and Touch Bar is transformed with a control for moving between my tabs. I get previews here. I can just tap and move through my tabs like this, or even slide and get a preview. And when I want to open a new tab, well, that's easy too. I can tap on the plus button, and you see right here, I have all my favorites. I'm just going to tap into an item I've had my eye on here on Etsy. And you see, now that Etsy is bringing Apple Pay to their checkout page, well, I can actually buy this impulse purchase here with just a tap. Can securely authorize the payment.
Just a little tappy.
With Touch ID. It's that easy, and soon I will be feeling the amazing power of pyramids and copper together. It's going to be absolutely fantastic. All right.